Unibilt material handling systems are among the best engineered and fabricated and closed-track chain conveyors available to industry today. The Unibilt equipment that has been purchased and installed in your plant will provide many years of trouble-free service. If the recommended program of regular inspections and preventive maintenance routines are followed. This videotaped instructional program will describe maintenance procedures that have been found to be effective in eliminating system downtime and extending the productive life of your Unibilt system. But first, a few words about safety. You should never attempt to perform maintenance or make adjustments on any part of your Unibilt conveyor or its associated equipment without first becoming thoroughly familiar with the procedures described in the technical publications provided and in this presentation. Before starting any maintenance procedures, be sure that the conveyor is stopped and the power locked out. Lockout should be carried out in accordance with written procedures established by your employer and in accordance with applicable OSHA and ANSI standards. Before restarting the conveyor after maintenance procedures have been completed, be certain all safety barriers, step ladders, scaffolding, and so forth have been removed. Be certain that all personnel in the area are clear or accounted for and notified that the conveyor is about to restart. These safety steps should also be taken in accordance with your employer's written procedures and with OSHA regulations. All operating drives in use in a Unibilt conveyor system must have the specified safety guard equipment securely mounted in place. The absence of belt and chain safety guards on drive units shown in this video or in the manuals and publications describing Unibilt equipment is for the purpose of instructional clarity only. The universal link chain supplied with your Unibilt conveyor has been completely heat treated to assure strength and long life. It's designed to provide maximum flexibility in all directions and features a true universal joint at each pitch. It can be easily assembled or disassembled by the insertion or removal of a single bolt at every other pitch. The chain should always be installed with the bolt that holds the horizontal guide wheel in a heads-up position with the nut facing the track slot. Step-by-step instructions for chain assembly and disassembly can be found in your Unibilt maintenance manual. Proper chain lubrication is an absolute necessity for the long life and trouble-free operation of your system. When shipped, the chain parts, including wheels, will be coated with a thin film of rust-resistant oil. This coating is for shipping protection only until the chain is installed. Proper lubrication of the chain, as described in this video and in your maintenance manual, must begin as soon as the chain is put into operation and must continue throughout the operating lifetime of the system. Your Unibilt conveyor system will be equipped with either a brush type or an automatic pressure type chain lubricator. The brush type lubricator is designed with a manually adjustable needle valve that makes it possible to regulate the flow of oil into the brush. In this way, you can assure adequate lubrication without over-oiling. One model of the brush-type oiler is equipped with a solenoid-operated, held-open valve wired through the drive motor circuit. This provides positive lubricant flow only when the conveyor is running. Lubricant flow rate control is manual, however. The automatic pressure type lubricator will provide positive and accurate metering of the oil flow to each of the lubrication points on the chain. Lubrication will occur when and only when the actuator is tripped by a passing wheel. This will guarantee delivery of the proper amount of lubricant at each location and prevent over-oiling and dripping. This lubricator is also equipped with an electric timer for on-off control of operation. No matter which lubricator your Unibilt system is equipped with, it is vital that the oil reservoirs not be allowed to become empty. The length of time between the refilling of the reservoirs will depend on the operating conditions in your particular plant and the running hours of your system. During this initial period of system operation, the reservoirs should be checked daily and refilled as necessary until a suitable refilling schedule has been established. Installed conveyor chain should be inspected for wear, proper lubrication, and proper tension at least once every 30 days, more often if operating conditions warrant. To facilitate the inspection of installed chain, inspection gates have been provided in the power track, one for every 300 to 400 feet of conveyor. To examine the chain, first stop the conveyor and lock out the power in accordance with the written procedures mentioned earlier. Then, with the inspection gate open, raise the chain until it is visible with an upward thrusting motion of a wooden stick, such as the length of a broom handle. A chain lift of 1 3/4 inches to 2 inches usually indicates proper chain tension. If chain inspection reveals excessive chain wheel and chain pin wear, lack of proper lubrication is most often the cause. If this proves to be the case, corrective steps should be taken immediately. The degree of chain pin wear can be determined by measuring at approximately 3 months intervals a length of chain of 30 pitches. When new, a 30 pitch length will measure 10 feet, 1 7/8 inches. With the conveyor stopped and locked out, this measurement can be taken through the slot in the underside of the track at any convenient location. Over a period of regular use, the 30 pitch length will increase due to the normal wear at the chain pins. This growth will be more noticeable during the first few months of conveyor operation, but it will continue in a lesser degree throughout the operating life of the chain. After the initial increase in chain's length, an additional stretch of 0.5% or more over a 3-month period should be considered excessive. The probable cause will be lack of proper lubrication, resulting in greater than normal chain pin wear. Corrective steps should be taken immediately. This will involve checking the operation of the lubricators and replacing or repairing any that are faulty. The schedule for refilling should also be checked and adjustments in frequency made if necessary. Remember, the conveyor chain must not be operated for any reason without lubrication. Regular chain inspection will also provide an opportunity to check for sluggish or frozen wheels, loose wheel bolts or bearings, and bent chain links. Should any of these conditions be found, they must be corrected immediately. If they are not corrected, they will contribute to excessive wear and chain tension, create possible jam conditions, and result in chain component deterioration. Excessive chain tension may be another reason for chain lengthening, since this will also cause greater than normal chain pin wear. This can be corrected by adjusting the take-up to provide for more slack in the chain. If on inspection the chain is found to have excessive slack, steps must be taken to correct this condition as soon as possible. This is also a matter for take-up maintenance procedures, which we'll now discuss. It's the role of the take-up to establish the correct chain tension needed for the proper operation of your conveyor and to maintain that tension during the operating lifetime of your system. Spring-loaded take-ups, such as this one, are designed to make this adjustment automatically by lengthening the distance the chain must travel, thereby compensating for its growth. Counterweighted and air cylinder take-ups will also compensate for chain growth automatically. If your system is equipped with one of these and excessively slack chain has been noted, the expansion joints on the take-up should first be examined to see if they have become dry or damaged, thus preventing their proper operation. If found dry, lubricate the joints so that they move freely. If damaged, replace them with new expansion joints. If your take-up is of the screw type, the adjustment for chain growth must be made manually by first backing off the lock nuts on each threaded rod, then extending the take-up the needed length by use of the inner adjusting nut. Be sure that both sides of the take-up are extended equally. When the correct extension has been reached, reseat the lock nuts. If your conveyor is allowed to continue in operation without proper maintenance, after the take-up has reached the limit of its extension, excessively slack chain will result, and you will be in danger of jamming the chain in the drive. Before this occurs, the chain must be shortened by the removal of an appropriate number of links, and the take-up returned to its original operating position. To accomplish this, first stop the conveyor and lock out the power, following the written procedures mentioned earlier. Next, relieve any tension on the chain by collapsing the take-up fully. In the case of a spring take-up, This is done by attaching a come-along to the extended frame of the take-up and pulling it back against the spring until it is fully collapsed. With a counterweighted take-up, simply remove the weights and push the extended frame back. With an air cylinder take-up, shut off the air supply to the cylinder following OSHA-accepted written procedures and return the frame to its fully collapsed position. These steps will provide sufficient chain for removal. At the installation gate nearest the take-up, using a come-along, pull the slackened chain through the gate. Clamp the slack chain to the track on either side of the portion to be removed to prevent any possible runaway. Then, using appropriate hand tools, remove the necessary chain links. Chain must be removed in 8-inch increments. When the chain has been reassembled, remove the clamps, release the come-along, and restore the proper chain tension by carefully resetting the take-up. When making your regular inspection rounds, it will be important to check on the condition of the take-ups. It is important to keep the take-up expansion joints properly lubricated and free to move as the chain lengthens. If the joints are not free to move because of damage of some sort, they must be replaced. At the same time, check the amount of travel left in the take-up. If it's approaching its maximum, schedule a shortening of chain before a jam causes damage or loss of production, or both. Regular inspections of your Unibilt conveyor system should also include examination of the power track. Areas of inspection should cover the track flanges, especially on vertical curves, and the inside radius of the horizontal turns. If peening of the track flanges on vertical curves and excessive wear on the inside of the horizontal turns is noted, this may be an indication of excessive chain tension. This can be corrected by an adjustment of the take-up to reduce this tension. Frozen or sluggish wheels may also be responsible for wear at horizontal turns as well as on track flanges. If this is found to be the case, the wheels should be freed up or replaced. The drive unit installed with your Unibilt conveyor system has been chosen to meet the power requirements of your particular application based on the total weight, the manufacturing processes in your facility, and the layout configuration at the time of installation. If significant changes occur in any of these areas, consult with your supplier immediately, since the changes may result in a need to resize or relocate the drive and/or the take-up. The basic elements of the drive unit are these: the drive motor, reducer, caterpillar chain, drive sprocket, take-up sprocket, backup bar, drive belt and sheaves, torque arm assembly, and the overload limit switch. If the recommended inspection and preventative maintenance procedures are followed, your drive will provide thousands of hours of trouble-free service. Inspection and maintenance procedures for the drive should be scheduled every 60 days as a minimum. Remember, before beginning any maintenance procedures, the conveyor must be stopped and the power to the drive motor locked out following the OSHA-accepted written procedures mentioned earlier. With the conveyor stopped and the power locked out, remove the chain and drive belt guards. With the guards removed, examine the caterpillar chain dogs and rollers for signs of unusual wear and the need for relubrication. If necessary, lubricate the surface of the chain dogs that contact the conveyor chain with a NLGI number 2 grease. At the same time, and with the same lubricant, lubricate the teeth of both drive and take-up sprockets, the pillow block grease fittings, the take-up sprocket zerk fitting, and the undersurface of the backup bar. Check the bolts that hold the backup bar in place. They should be firmly seated. The caterpillar chain rollers should be lubricated with an SAE 30-weight oil. The upper strand of the drive chain should show a deflection from the horizontal of 1/4 to 1/2 inch. This is preset at the factory and should not require immediate adjustment in a new drive. Depending on plant conditions and the accumulated hours of service, wear in the chain links and on the sprocket teeth may cause the drive chain to appear slack. To correct this condition, first loosen the take-up bearing support bolts. Then, after backing off the lock nuts, the adjustment can be made with the Caterpillar chain take-up adjusting screws. Care should be taken that the take-up sprocket remains aligned with the drive sprocket. When the cat chain has been returned to the proper tension, the bearing support bolts must be tightened and the lock nuts reseated. The drive for your Unibilt conveyor is equipped with a double reduction worm gear reducer. These reducers are shipped dry, whether mounted to a drive unit or ordered separately. When installed and before operation, the reducer must be filled with a number 8 AGMA gear oil compound using this fill hole. The level of this oil should be checked every 6 months and oil added as needed. The fill hole will have been plugged with a vented plug. Any replacement plug should also be vented. During the 60-day inspection, the reducer should be checked for internal operating temperature. If it exceeds 200 degrees Fahrenheit, the cause may be a low level of oil in the reducer. If, after refilling, the reducer continues to run excessively hot, it should be replaced. It is wise to include a spare reducer among your spare parts so that hours of downtime can be avoided while waiting for a replacement. The 60-day inspection of the drive should also include a check of the belt from motor to reducer, the motor and reducer sheaves, and the motor itself. Instructions as to maintenance of the motor will be supplied by the motor manufacturer and should be carefully followed. If the motor is running hot, the problem may be excessive conveyor chain pull or tension. The steps as to correction of this condition have been described earlier and will be found in your maintenance manual as well. Correct belt tension should be maintained and sheaves on the motor or reducer should be tightened if loose. A loose belt or slipping sheaves can result in a noticeable decrease in conveyor speed as well as excessive wear. If this condition is noticed, corrective action must be taken immediately. If your drive is of the variable speed type, the belt should be replaced. The belt may be tightened by turning the adjustment screw on the motor base assembly until proper tension is attained. When inspection and maintenance of the drive has been completed, the chain and drive belt guards should be replaced. Should your drive require a replacement part, or if you have any questions regarding the drive assembly, refer to the job number tag located on the drive frame. This tag provides the original job number and the year that the drive assembly was built. This allows the Unibilt division to be sure to provide you with the correct replacement parts. Before restarting the conveyor, be certain that all safety barriers, tools, work ladders, scaffolding, and so forth are removed, and all personnel are warned and accounted for following the OSHA-accepted written procedures mentioned earlier. Reference to spare parts and maintenance manual has been made throughout this instructional video. You will have received these with the delivery of your Unibilt material or from your Unibilt supplier shortly thereafter. These manuals contain valuable information on replacement parts and components for your particular system, as well as excellent preventative and other maintenance procedures. Please review these early in your program of system usage and retain them for future use and reference. Unibilt distributors, area managers, and corporate personnel are all available to support your efforts to maintain and use your system properly. We of the Unibilt team are very proud of the product you have selected for your facility. Please feel free to contact us anytime that you feel our assistance may be required.